Hey guys, we're back with another Honda CB650R. This is a 2024 model. There's a little bit of a difference here is that this one still has its catalytic converter and stock exhaust on, and it's got the stock air filter. The client's just removed the mesh or screen off it, obviously to increase surface area, but as you can see it is completely stock. So he just wants it tuned, obviously for the maximum that he can get out of it. And he has blanked off the pair valve. I obviously told him to get that done while he was in there. So yeah, he wanted to do the work himself, which is fine. Nothing wrong with getting it done yourself, because obviously you save quite a bit of labor, and I mean then you've got more money to put into mods, but you've got to make sure you do the stuff right, you know. Just be careful, because I mean working on your own bike is always a risk, you know. I don't recommend or condone it per se, but I mean, at least if you're gonna spend money on a tune or something, you know, rather go to the best place and get the right tune, make sure they got the right equipment, and rather pay their price, which probably is going to be more than the average car, just loading some map into your ECU, which isn't going to be suited to your bike, and it's not really an applicable map, you know. So yeah, basically that's where we're at. Yeah. We're going to do the pre-run now as it stands, but already I can see that this chain is not even moving. It's like a guitar string, and the back tire looks like it could do with a bit of air. But anyway, yeah, I'm first going to just do the run and then I'll sort out, because obviously pre-runs are done as the bike comes in, so we can pick up any problems on the bike and then address them from there. So stay tuned. I'm only going to do one run because this bike hasn't been tuned or anything like that. So we're doing one run, and that's going to be our base run, because it's already had the velocity stacks drilled out. So he used the original velocity stacks, he just machined out the restriction. So yeah, stay tuned, enjoy. Okay, so as expected, we've done the pre-run and it's a very dismal result. The fueling is pulling way out too lean. It's actually pulling off the chart, so it's not really safe to run a bike like that. So I'm not going to bother to try and get more power out of it on the pre-run. It is what it is. So the total power as it stands now is 48.5 horsepower and 49 Newton meters. And that is because of this fueling. You can see it starts off sort of at like 13.7, because that's obviously where it's making low velocity, where the intake's being restricted wouldn't matter. But then obviously as it picks up revs now, because it's got the extra air, it just pulls the fueling out, so it can't even sustain combustion. That's what the curve looks like. It just falls flat. You know, there's nothing really to it. So yeah, that's our specs. Again, 48 horsepower, 49 Newton meter, and obviously we need to fuel all that up and change the ignition timing and everything. So that's our pre-run. I'm going to get on with loading in the base map and making my base changes, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I adjusted the chain. Always make sure that your chain's got a bit of play, because it does two things. It pulls the sprocket bearing and damages your bearings in your drivetrain, and it also stops your shock from moving correctly. So you'll see probably in the pre-runs when I accelerated, there wasn't much movement. You know, when the suspension tried to move up, you know, it's kind of like almost as though it's very rigid and stiff. So yeah, just keep in mind, you know, have at least, it says 30 mils there. See, there's the spec, about 30 mil there. So be very careful not to make it too tight. Okay, I'm just going to do this one like this just to show you. So do you remember at 6,000 RPM, if you look there, basically go across, that's where it was pulling lean. Can you see those values drop from 6,800 right down to 5,100? So actually as you're accelerating there, it's busy pulling all the fuel out. So that's why that bike runs lean. And then on the ignition timing, you would see that So I'll make all my base mods because I know roughly what the value should be. Then if I go into my ignition tables, you can see that the timing has been over advanced to cater for not burning enough fuel up here. So that's the problem. So now we need to back this off and sort this out so that we can combust the fuel at the right position of the engine upstroke. So basically we want to make sure that the spark ignites as the piston is traveling upwards, and the valve has pretty much closed, you know, it's on the closing. So by the time the flame spreads across the face of the piston, we've got optimal combustion leverage down on the piston on the downward stroke. So you want peak combustion to be as the piston has kind of like just turned over and it's forcing down the cylinder. Then you're going to get peak torque, maximum torque, and that's good. So you can see on the map the massive holes there, that correlates back to that. Okay, so remember our values in the map were like basically 5,000. You can see now how much it's gone up. So that's on intake pressure. So in other words, your map sensor, and then obviously on TPS, you can see our values. We've changed all our map values. That's right up there to like sort of 8,000. But I think that might be a bit rich, but I prefer to tune rich to lean than lean to rich, because you're putting the bike under load, you could get pre-ignition and, you know, things can happen. So rather always tune rich to lean. Okay, so we're all done with our CB650R 2024 model. Keeping in mind that the catalytic converter is still in there, so it's not going to make as much peak power as we normally get, but the torque and everything is pretty decent. I'm happy with the bike. It runs nice, it pulls hard, as you can see, especially sort of like mid to higher RPMs when I'm hammering that on. I mean, it's got a stock filter, stock cat, and it pulls like a freight trailer. You can see it. Anyway, let's take a look see here. So we went from the 48.5 horsepower and 49 newton meters up to 77.3 horsepower and 58 newton meter. So you'll remember, let's just take a look at the curve. So you can see on the blue fuel curve, it just pulled out. It just hung. There was no more combustion happening. It was just done. So that's because those velocity stacks got removed and there's not enough set up in the map and enough fuel and timing advanced to be able to get that to work correctly. So as you saw, the values on the ignition map we're up at like 40. So that's how they've got to run it to be able to combust that little bit of fuel and air that's coming in. But now that we've got quantity, we need to ignite that fuel mixture sooner so that it has a complete combustion process, so it's got a good burn. So you can see on the blue curve there's the 49.3 Newton meters and the 48.5 horsepower. That just fell away and died. So now we're revving it out. We've given it a 500 RPM, limiter raise. You can see the graph, nice clean smooth arc, good power delivery. Even on top there, I mean, you can pound it on from like 6 to 8 is just mental on the acceleration. And you can see our red AFR now is a nice straight line. So even though it says 14.1 there, that's just where I hammer it on low down. It's kind of like 13.5 running down to sort of about 12.8. So just keep it safe on top. But I'm very happy with it. It's very humid today. So you can see the humidity is actually over 100%. So yeah, we're running some serious air here. So that also doesn't really help matters. It's very thick. But yeah, that's our 2024 CB650R. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for our next video. Cheers. Enjoy it.